Good afternoon, or good evening, I should say. Today is March 20th, 2023. You are in the Rowan County Commission meeting, the second meeting of the month of March 2023. It is our honor and privilege to have you here with us tonight. We hope you enjoy your time with us, and we welcome you, and we're glad that you're here. It's the tradition of this board and boards all across the country. We begin with a couple of things. We'll have a prayer from our chaplain, Sheriff's Department Chaplain, Chaplain Taylor, if you'll make your way forward. This is called a solemnizing prayer. That's actually a technical term, and what that means is the prayer is not for you. The prayer is for the commissioners. What we do here and tonight, the other meetings and throughout the month, we seek wisdom as we make decisions on behalf of the county, and so we're going to ask our chaplain to ask for just that. We'll also have a pledge of allegiance after that. So commissioners, if you'll join me, we'll get started.
Commissioners, Father, we thank you for the privilege to be here tonight. We thank for our county commissioners and the dedication and work they do for Rowan County, dear Lord. Pray you give them the wisdom they need in the meeting tonight, Lord. Thank you for the many hours of preparation they've made for just this meeting, and thank you for the time that they do and what they do. Blessings upon them. Give them the wisdom they need in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Chaplain Taylor. As always, appreciate you being with us tonight. Commissioners, we'll look at the agenda. I've got one item to add to the agenda that would be under the consent agenda. Item P is in Paul for the sole source contract with P&G Security for Dan Nicholas Park. We'll add that as item P. Are there any other additions or deletions that you know of? All right, then do we have a motion to approve the agenda as amended? All right, motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. And then the consent agenda has been provided for us, including the item we just added. Motion and a second to approve the consent. All right, motion and a second. All in favor say aye. 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 All right, thank you. All right, then we'll move straight to special recognition. Commissioner Green.
Mr. Chairman, let's see, it's gonna be a little while to stand up out there.
That's all right. Yeah, April, do you have we should ask you ahead of time if you had a mic. Oh, we've got one up here. Yep, we got it. Okay.
And April, will you go ahead and put the picture on, please? There we go. For those of you that come here tonight to complain about our evaluation, we're glad that you're here. Before we get to that, we have a special honor tonight. Todd Bell, could you come up here, please? Todd is the athletic director at West Rowan High School. And come on over here. We've got this proclamation that we want to read and to honoring our girls basketball team. This proclamation honoring the 2022-2023 West Rowan High School girls basketball team who won the state championship, were the first girls from West Rowan to go far enough to win everything. We will. The way these things are done is that they're divided up into the East and the West. And the best girls in the East play and the best girls in the West play, and then they play each other. And the team that came out on top of all of that happens to be the West Rowan Falcons. And we have this proclamation We'll have the coach come up, absolutely. We're going to give out these same things to the kids, but that's fine. We'll have Coach Poole. We are honored to have you with us tonight. I wasn't leaving you out. I just hadn't gotten to you yet. But whereas the West Rowan High School girls basketball team under head coach Ashley Poole is hereby recognized and honored for their 2022-2023 victorious basketball season. And whereas by their extraordinary efforts, the following members of the dynamic and talented team are to be congratulated for their remarkable and triumphant season. Michaela Tenner, Dee Dee Cuthbertson, Demaya Pfeiffer, Sarah Durham, Aubrey Martin, Kennedy Carlson, Jamacia Huntley, one of my favorites right there, Maya Edwards, Lauren Arnold, and we'll talk about later. I think she brought home every award from the East game, except for one. Lauren Arnold, Emma Clark, Tyra Thompson, Katie Hoffner. And if I butchered your name, I'm sorry. And when you come up here, you can get it corrected. And whereas due to the hard work, dedication, and their extraordinary chemistry, this outstanding group of Falcons made school history as they finished out a perfect 31-0 season by a state championship earned in West Rowan High School, the first state championship earned in West Rowan High School history. And whereas the individual contributions from each team member were crucial to the successful season and the tremendous commitment and excellent performance of these young Rowan County women, along with their coaching staff, have proven to be a source of admiration and inspiration to the citizens of Rowan County. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the West Rowan, I'll get it right in a minute. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Rowan County Board of Commissioners does hereby honor and congratulate the West Rowan High School 2022 and 23 girls basketball team and coaching staff for their incredible achievements and comments, and commends them for their display of sportsmanship and leadership as they represented Rowan County on the 20th day of March, 2023, signed by the illustrious chairman, Mr. Greg Eds.
Go first. You don't have anything? Okay, well, first of all, thank y'all for recognizing these girls. Their hard work was incredible this season. They put in lots of hours, lots of time, and I feel like they represented your school, our school, very well. So I'm very proud of each and every one of them.
He didn't tell us we had to speak, but no, the community sport was tremendous. And I don't think the ladies could have done it without the community support we had from all over the county, and especially the western part of the county. It was a very special ride for the young ladies and for all of us. When we went up to Marion to McDowell the week before we came back, there was a gym full of people. They were there for a different reason, but we let them know that we had state champions on the way the next weekend. When the ladies went up to Raleigh last weekend, they went in with class, and we were very proud to know that Rowan County was there. These girls made us proud, made the community proud, made the county proud. They just made us all proud. You guys don't understand what it takes to go 31-0, just one bounce, one bad free throw, one bad turnover. But these ladies, they went through the thick and thin and they put in all the hard work and they were rewarded. And to the commissioners and to the board, we greatly appreciate you from West Rowan High School.
Okay, I'm gonna call you up and you're gonna come up and get your,
We have each of you a copy of this. I tried to get Mr. Church to give me 20 copies like this framed, but he said it wasn't in the budget this year. Next year, when we come back, and win the state championship again, we'll see if we can find money to do that.
okay, so we'll start with Lauren Arnold.
While Lauren is here, Lauren was the most valuable player, not in just our game, but in the tournament. 2022 and 23.
Demaya Pfeiffer. Congratulations.
Maya Pfeiffer is the fastest guard I have ever seen. People kept asking me if she was a twin. And I said, no, she's just one person all over the court. The way she is. Had a fabulous tournament and coming back next year to do the same.
Next, we have Dee Dee Cuthbertson.
Senior, if I'm not wrong, and forward to her coming back next year.
Next, we have Jamesia Huntley.
Jamesia Huntley had to play down inside. She's tough as nails and held in the second half to enough points that we won. But she did a great job. And she's a senior, and she's the only girl on this team that already has 2 state championships. Quite an athlete.
Next, we have Kennedy Clausen. Congratulations.
Robin Kennedy, aren't you coming back next year? All right, we're looking forward to her coming back next year.
Next, we have Sarah Durham.
Sarah is also one of our seniors. She one of the hardest working defensive players. Sometimes she gets the ball, I help keep hollering, shoot, shoot. I love to watch her play. She's great. She's a senior. And what she's going to do now is she's going to do great things wherever she goes.
Okay, next we have Emma Clark.
I don't think there's anybody in the county that I haven't told this to my granddaughter.
Anybody here that doesn't know it, this is my granddaughter. She was here back and be part of this second. Also was the winner of the sportsmanship program. Whole term, so I'm real proud of her. If you didn't know.
Okay, next we have Maya Edwards.
I don't know how we got all of these tall girls on one team. We were very fortunate. Your team probably, Coach, I'm gonna take over your job. You'll probably be a starter forward next year. But we look forward to you doing great.
Okay, next we have Tiara Thompson.
I shouldn't be talking. This should be the coach's job. County commissioner, so I'm gonna run a rough shot. Girl is a freshman. First year player. She has made such a difference in our, from what I can see, sorry, Coach.
You're fine.
From what I can see from the sideline. But great ball handler. How many threes you have? Had about 150 before the last game, and it really sparked tremendous difference. It was the most valuable player championship game. What she's going to do to top that next year.
All right, next we have Aubrey Martin.
So when you go to a basketball game, Aubrey is a freshman. Play a whole lot. But every time we would get ahead, which was a lot of the time, every game, all year long, the peanut gallery in the back, the West Rowan crazies they call them, would start asking for this girl. And I'm sure Coach Poole felt the pressure of the crazies play. You can get a feel for how people love her and like her and want to see her in every game. And she got in on a lot. So we're glad to see her.
Okay, next we have Michaela Tenner.
Kayla is one of those folks that Coach Poole would tell you that when you need a stop, when you need somebody to come in and slow somebody down, this was called on. She was. She was a great ball player. We look forward to her coming back next year, I'm sure. Player of the Year.
Okay, we have Katie Hoffner.
Hey, she is always supporting the team that she wasn't playing. And play some in looking forward to her coming, our
Freshman.
freshman. Okay, well. Get to be a junior. We're glad to have her and look forward to what she's going to contribute next.
Paper left, but I can't let us get recognized without recognizing my assistant coach, Miss Gares. Stand up, Miss Gares. She puts in a lot of time, a lot of effort with these girls, so we need to make sure we recognize her as well.
Anybody else?
Yeah, just 1 second. Could I have all the parents that are here tonight to support their kids? I know there's a couple anyway. Oh, is that all? These are just mine. That's my daughter and my son-in-law. And I thought there was more. I didn't really want to put them on the spot like that, but we love them. And we appreciate all the parents and the support that they've given the kids this year. Now, you want them all to come up? Yeah, could we come up and have a group picture now? I didn't mean to embarrass you in any way.
No, you're
Say, okay, or talk too much, but that's just my nature.
You
I'm
did
sorry.
perfect.
I know, I'm sorry, I have to.
I don't have my camera on, so I'm just gonna use my phone.
That ain't it. That ain't it. That ain't even it.
Right, you want to go first?
You go for it. No, you go.
All right, big smiles, jeez. Ready? Couple real quick. Right. Thank
Actually,
you.
I'll let you share with me. Will you have that picture on there? You guys all get up? I'll get up and get us. Real quick, it's a special day.
Anybody else want to come
Special
up?
day. All right, you grabbing that one?
Yeah. All right, take two. You ready?
All right. Everybody say Falcons.
Ready.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you.
Appreciate you coming.
Who will see next year?
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
Wanted to just say one thing. You probably don't know this. The county commissioners are part of a commissioner basketball league, and so we'd like to challenge you to a game. Hey, before you leave, if you're, no disrespect, obviously, to starters, if you're not a starter, raise your hand. Not you. You know, I was never a starter in basketball, but you know, the non-starters are who really push the starters to be great. And those folks deserve a lot of credit, because if you're not a starter, you wish you were a starter, you're working to be a starter. If you are a starter, you want to stay a starter. So I think the strength of a team is the non-starters a lot of the time. So I want to recognize them and give them even a round of applause. And we've got a rule, if you get one of these folders, you have to stay the whole night. So I don't know where you, all right, you don't. You can go.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the proclamation.
Are you on?
Yes.
Mo?
Yeah, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to accept the proclamation.
All right, do we have a second? We got a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank you.
I hope that the girls are going on to college, hopefully, and play, and that we'll see in the paper, Charlie.
Before we leave celebration, Jay, how about if you bring us up to date on another local team that is making history today?
This is excellence in women's basketball in this county. Salisbury High School with the state championship, West Rowan with the state championship. The Catawba women's team today won their quarterfinal, grade 8 basketball game today, 77-70, first time in school history that they've ever hosted a regional, won the regional, gone to the final 8, and now they're going to the final 4 Wednesday night. We think it's 7 o'clock, or it might be 8 Eastern. But anyway, check the times. But anyway, so the Catawba women's team as coach of the year, 3 sack honors, sack player of the year. It's pretty special time for women's basketball in Rowan County. It's pretty nice. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. All right, we'll move on. Next item, public comment. First up, we have John Morrison. We already did. John, welcome. Glad you're here. Come forward and state your name and your address for the record.
John Morrison, 1710 Statesville Boulevard in Salisbury. So I guess somebody has to be first, right? Wasn't planning on being first.
That's all right.
Anyway, I know a few of you by first name, and I want to start off by saying I thank you for your service and what a wonderful job I think y'all have done. The tax evaluation I got in the mail, and my taxes or my tax value went up 60%. I'm almost sure they have me confused with somebody in the country club, but I'm going to go to the office and make sure that they've got the right address. 60%, I've had no improvements on my house. It's a lot. It's a big increase. So what I'm coming tonight to you is to plea for all of you live here, all of you buy gas, all of you buy groceries, all of you pay taxes just like I do. They're all increasing. Utilities are increasing. I don't know one single thing that hasn't increased in my budget. So I would like to ask you to please consider with the growth that we have in Rowan, to please try to stay as close to neutral revenue as you possibly can. If I had to pay at the tax rate, which it is now, on the evaluation that I got, I would have to come up with $120 a month in order to pay my taxes. That's a big pill to swallow. I know all of you will do a good job. I trust you. So that's all I've got to say.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Morrison.
you.
Thank you for coming. Next, Connie. Welcome.
Good evening. Connie Byrne, 216 Goldston Street, Kannapolis. You all know me. I'm here, have been every 2 weeks for 8 years now. To follow up on what the gentleman said, I know that you have nothing to do with the amount that property values increased. This is a direct result of the national real estate market. My valuation went from 130 to 210. According to Zillow, it could easily have gone to 275. I know that my property taxes will go up. I know that this board has no intention of increasing the top property tax rate. And I've heard people say, well, they should cut it because of all the extra money, but they're not taking into account the fact that expenses for this county are increasing also. Yes, we have an increasing tax base, but that is not going to cover all the road work that needs to be done, the new school that needs to be built, the pay raises that our fire people and police officers and school teachers need. I think you're doing a fantastic job, and I want to thank you for that. Oh, and if you don't want to, I'm 76. Increasing my monthly payment by $100 or so is going to be devastating. However, what I'm going to do is what anybody else my age should do, who's within the income guidelines. Go to the county courthouse, to the assessor's office, and apply for the tax deferment that goes with being over 65. And the income limits are 33.8 and I think 55.8 or 55.7. I'm about $800 above the lower limit, which means I'll have to reapply every year, but it's worth the headache. Thank you very much. I appreciate the job you've done. And you know I'm your biggest cheering squad.
Thank you, Connie. All right, next, John Mitchell. John, welcome.
First of all, it's a tough act to follow with that basketball team. I'm not a financial wizard by no means. Matter of fact, high finances scare me, all right? But I got my evaluation or my tax thing. I have one question. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Maybe it makes more sense to somebody else. Why don't you meet before these assessments come out to tell us basically how much is going to go up? Because it seems like you're taking the cart before the horse. We get these and we only have a certain amount of time to, let's say, file a motion or whatever you want to call it, but yet we don't know the dollars and cents. It would help a lot if people like myself would know the dollars and cents that's going up, or, a range anyway. It would be a lot easier to follow. And then we would know if it's going to be $50 a month, it may not hurt. But if it's $150 a month, it might hurt. Now, we also know that there was a big boom in housing and all these prices went up. It was a seller's market. Well, it's not a seller's market anymore, and everybody knows that. So what sold for $300,000 6-8 months ago may come down a whole lot right now. And I don't know if you take that into consideration or not, but I know for me, I'd appreciate it. But I also appreciate if we knew the dollars and cents spread that it could be. Okay, thank you.
All right, next, Lisa Lennox. Welcome.
I prepared some notes, because I didn't want to get flustered, but I am here to ask you to reconsider the revaluations based on the following. It has been an unprecedented 3 years of COVID, and I believe that that's really been a driving force in raising these home prices astronomically. I think people have been fleeing from cities to go to rural communities. They're trying to get away from high areas of crime. And one of the reasons I moved here was to get away from the high taxes of New Jersey. We could be in a real estate tax bubble right now. And what happens if our home prices decrease incredibly in the next year? We're now stuck for another 4 years of paying higher taxes. The higher interest rates and mortgages have doubled. I checked rates today, and a 30-year mortgage is up as high as 7.26%. Home sales have declined in the state of North Carolina over the past year by 26%. There's higher interest rates, and then high property taxes will drive more foreclosures and prevent people from qualifying for home purchases. Less money in our pockets will also lead to less maintenance and care for these homes that are already overpriced. Inflation has caused everything to rise. Grocery prices like eggs are up 49.1%. These are based on read numbers. Butter's up 34.2%, bread up 15.7%, poultry 13.1%, fruit and veggies 9.7%, fuel oil is up 65.7%, gasoline's up 41%. Declining savings in IRAs with markets dropping or giving people less money, less to no expendable income. I'm on a fixed income, and even people with incomes and the ability to increase their earnings are struggling to pay for necessities. My home valuation at the current rate of tax would increase 39.7%. I think that's way too high. I also question what my community, what my neighborhood receives for all these tax increases, because we are a high tax neighborhood. For example, we have no public sewers, no public water. We don't have lights, street lights, not that we want them, but we don't have garbage pickup, no sidewalks to maintain, and poor road maintenance. In fact, 2 years ago, 4 other families and myself had to pay $3,663 each to update our road, For Sale Road, in order for it to be maintained by the county because it was left off the county map. We paid that, we updated it, and then they came in and threw down some tar, which is the amount of putting down some glue and some pea gravel, which pushed to the side of the road. We lack drainage ditches for proper water drainage. We clean up our roads 4 times a year. We perform lake cleanup regularly. I realize there are plenty of other roads and buildings and salaries and schools that need money, but I don't think they need this much money. I respectfully request you postpone the reevaluations for 1 to 2 years to allow the world and prices to rebalance and normalize. As I understand it, the state of North Carolina requires regulations every 8 years. And I know by doing it every 4, it can reduce the shock value, but I think we're all pretty shocked by this evaluation. And if we postpone it and revisit it in a year or 2, maybe things will balance out a little bit. The other thing I thought we could do is dramatically reduce the tax rate so we don't have to pay thousands more in taxes during a time when we're already suffering financially. We're looking forward to you and counting on you to help the people of Rowan County. The people who have the confidence to elect you to office and look out for this community. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Next, Charles Eisenhower. Charles, welcome.
State my name, Charles Eisenhower. I'm here to represent my family who received a 128% increase on a house that has had nothing done to it in 4 years, not in 8 years, not in 10 years. But I'm more concerned about tax collecting than I am the increase. And let me give you an example. Every day I travel around, I stop at the stoplights in Salisbury. My eyes go to the tag in front of me. 8 out of 10 times, it's a good tag. 2 times, it's expired. When you have an expired tag, you're not paying taxes. Those people are not paying taxes. If they hit me, I'm going to be the loser. They don't have insurance. It's a circle. The tag is a circle. I don't need to explain it to you. You can't get a tag unless you got insurance. Can't get the insurance, can't get the tag, you got to pay the taxes. So these people are driving in our county daily as if they don't care. And that concerns me. Another thing concerns me is tax collections. I've got several papers here. I'll just cite it from memory. A house in East Rowan that I found had not paid taxes in 12 years. No property tax on a house. 12 years. Who is looking at the books? That's 12 years. That person did not pay 1 cent of tax to this county. I've got the address if you'd like to have it. That person, by the way, received I believe it was I don't know if I had 58% increase in the house. I've got a house also in East Rowan, 122% increase on a 1957 home. No improvements. I've been watching this house for 4 years, going by it daily and watching it. There's no improvements. This house in the neighborhood, I have photographs of it. The windows are busted out. There's no working heat, air conditioning in it. I don't need to go into details. It's known in the neighborhood as a drug house. But yet your taxes went up 122% on a house that is not inhabitable. How these people are living in there, I don't know. I can't explain the life of a drug person, how they can put up with that. But the owner lives out of state, does not know what's going to the property. You raised his taxes 122%. Another house, I go by every day. 89% increase on a house that's not had a person living in it for over 10 years. It is an absolute, just stressful looking house. Trees are falling down in it from storms. Nobody's gotten it up. I can't explain the owners on this one. I think the lady died and the family doesn't care. Now they're paying the taxes, but they got an 89% increase on a house that's had nothing done to it. Nothing. Why? Are you doing drive-by evaluations? Is that what the tax assessor's doing? In the old days, they drive by in a car, 4 or 5 people and look at houses. If anybody looked at this house and gave it an 89% increase, they were blind. This is stupid. This is crazy. Been empty for 10 years. Just imagine that. Now, I'll mention this. The previous evaluation only had about a 20 to 25% increase. This one, they say the average is 45. Is that what I read in the paper? 45 to 50. That, in my math, and you go up another 89%, that's astronomical. That's 100% increase on everybody when you compare it to the previous one. There's a house here in Salisbury.
All right, 30 seconds.
Okay. There's 2 houses on Cemetery Street. 10 years behind in taxes have not been paid. It's in foreclosure. Nobody's going to buy that property. Why doesn't the county take it and then sell it and get that tax money? You're not collecting the taxes that are owed. Don't make good people like me pay other people's taxes that don't pay. Go after them. Go after these car people. Go after these homeowners that don't pay taxes. Find out why. I'm retired. I'll volunteer to work to help with this reevaluation and do the legwork to go to these houses and be fair about this. This is not fair. 89 to 125% is not fair. And you need help. I know there's a shortage of staff. We have a shortage of staff in the drug department and the police department. They can't catch all the drug houses. They can't even catch the gambling casinos in town, the illegal. Those are taxes we're not getting. These gamblers. We need to go after that. I think it's great to gamble. Make them pay the taxes.
Thank you.
Let's get more taxes. Thank you.
Thank you. Mike Taylor.
Let me, Chaplain Mike Taylor.
Chaplain Michael Taylor. I'm sorry.
We pray for the county commissioners. I want to come tonight. And I want us to pray for our sheriff. I mean, you might not know that his dad passed away this weekend. And I feel led that we come in on his behalf and pray for him and his family during this time. His funeral will be coming up this Saturday at Calvary Tabernacle, Baptist Tabernacle. And so I'd like for us to pray for the sheriff and his family at this time, if we could. Lord, we come to you tonight and we thank you, Lord, for sheriff, Lord, and we thank you for what he's done, dear Lord. And we know that it's not an easy job of what he's done, dear Lord. And we know he hadn't even went in, been sworn in hardly at all, and they had to shoot, dear Lord. And he's had different things he had to face, but this is a major thing he said he's facing now with his dad passing away. There's nothing like a father's love, dear Lord. And so I pray you'll bring comfort to him and his family, dear Lord, and be really near to him, dear Lord. And I think his dad was a godly man, dear Lord, and I just know that he's proud of his son, dear Lord. So I pray, ask this audience tonight, this county tonight, Lord, to pray for his sheriff, give him strength and courage and help him, dear Lord, during this time. In Jesus' name, amen.
Sheriff, certainly praying for you during this time. It's tough losing a parent and a daddy. So prayers for you and your family, okay? All right, that's all we have for public comments. There's a couple of things that I want to, couple of issues that came up. One was asking the question about why don't we know about the dollar amount as far as the tax goes. I think that was, yeah. So that bill comes out, is it in July? Tax assessor? Yeah, that bill comes out, and so that it kind of comes in stages. The revaluation amount every year you get you're gonna have the valuation. So this revaluation comes out, and then in June or July, I don't know which month it is, DJ, comes out in July. Yeah, so in July, the actual bill comes out. This is just a notice, a revaluation. So you will get a bill that shows the dollar amount. Mr. Eisenhower talked about some folks not paying their bills, and we actually agree with you 100%. I checked real quickly. Our collection rate in Rowan County is 97.88%, which is pretty high compared to other counties, very high. 100% is better. 97.88 is good. We have had hours and hours and years of conversations about going after folks. That means we would have to own a property, which we don't want to do. We don't want to pay maintenance. We don't want to have to mow the yard every week. So typically these houses either get taken over by family or they get sold and there's a tax lien on them. We eventually get our money back, but we're with you. All right, we understand that. I want to make sure, I know that someone said, maybe it was Connie, the commissioners are bystanders when it comes to the revaluation process. We don't have any part of that. And I've been doing a lot of research, and if you go to a lot of different counties on their website, they have revaluation information on their page as well, whether they went through revaluation this year or last year or 5 years ago or whatever it was, and they seem to have the same exact standards and information on there that we have on ours. It's standard across the state how these are calculated. And so we don't know what it's going to come out to be. I can tell you that we did know that probably a larger number was coming because we knew one pretty simple statistic, and that is in 2019, the average home in Rowan County sold for $182,000. And that crept up over 4 years. And last year it was 281,000 was the average. So we knew that there was something going on in the market. And so the managers helped me some with this. I've done some of my own study, so I don't, it's stuff that is pretty simple to look up online. There are some counties around us that have, that are on the same revaluation schedule as we are. Some are not. Davidson County, their last revaluation was effective January 1 of 21. So they take the prior 4 years. So that'd be 17, 18, 19, and 20. And then it becomes effective on the 21st in year 2021. Interestingly, Davidson County was hard to find information because I don't think they have a newspaper over there, do they? So in communities where there's a local newspaper, there's usually talk about a revaluation. I couldn't find anything on Davidson County. Cabarrus County, their last revaluation ran from January 1 of 16 to 12/31 of 19. It was effective January 1 of 20, and they had a 15% increase. So they'll go 4 years starting January 1 of 20, and then 4 years. Stanley County, their last revaluation was 2017. Interestingly, they're every 8 years. I think they're probably going to get pounded in 2025, which is their next revaluation. That's exactly why we don't do that. Forsyth County, their last valuation was effective January 1 of 21. Those numbers went from 2017 through 2020. 60%. So this wasn't even really catching this wave. 60% saw a 10 to 35% increase. 7.5% saw 50% or more. Their prior revaluation, there was a 6% increase. Guilford County's on the same schedule as we are, 20%. No, they're a year ahead of us. So it was January 1 of 22. That was a 20% increase. Randolph County, they are on the same schedule we are. Had increases of 25%, had increases over 60%. Let's see, and then I printed off Iredell County is on the same schedule as we are. That's 60%. Alamance County, 70%. Catawba County, 69%. Mecklenburg County, 51%. And so I just want us to make sure that we're understanding this is not just a Rowan County issue. It's a regional, it's a state, it's probably a national issue unless your community is just not one that folks want to move into. And so we are, I mean, I agree with Lisa. We are in this unprecedented time. I had a gentleman call me last week and say he was in a community where the revaluation went up 25%. So they just reduced tax rates by 25% and moved on. And that was great. And we'd love to do that. I said, when did that happen? And they said 2018. And I said, well, if that were a book, it'd be a one-page book. And that would be tax revaluation went up 25%. So they reduced it by 25%. There's really nothing much more to talk about in that. But when you talk about a book being written now, the average was 45.96%. And then you've got issues of COVID and cost of inflation and cost of sheriff's back there shaking his head, cost of employment. And so some of the things that we're dealing with, inflation last year was 9.1%. That right now it's 6.04. Total inflation just since 2020 has been 16%, which means that anything you bought for $1 a couple of years ago now costs $1.16. Construction costs are up in 2022 over 2021 by 12.7%. Lumber, plywood, steel. Lumber futures went from $264 per thousand board feet in April of 2020, 264 to a high of $1,670 per thousand board feet. It has dipped down to 347, but even today it's back to 452, and the 452 is still 71% higher than April of 2020. In the meantime, the federal government has paid folks to stay home and not work. That is creating problems and inflating wages, which we are certainly dealing with. Supply chain has been decimated due to COVID policies and by the federal and state governments. Supply costs are still significantly higher. And so, again, what about Rowan County? Here's some numbers for you to understand why some of this stuff has happened. In let's say 2014, when some of us came into office, we had 240 residential permits issued. By 2022, that was 1,000 issued in 1 year. So at 2015, 16, 17, and 18, a total of 1,614 permits were pulled. 2019, 20, 21, and 22 was almost double that. And through February of this year, they've already pulled 273 permits. So that's really having an impact. And then we talked about the average price of homes. And then we've got monetary policy by the Fed. I read something today that really shocked me. It said since January of 2020, the United States has printed, listen to this, almost 80% of all dollars that exist today were printed by the Fed in the last 2 years. 80% of all the cash in our system right now is printed. It's over $13 trillion that we've just printed out of thin air. And that is creating a tremendous problem. I go into this and probably shouldn't. But the question is, why is this happening? And one said it's not fair. Let me tell you, we know that there are some mistakes in this because we have 86,000 properties that have to be adjusted. And they do the math based on about 12,000 residential and 700 business sales over this 4-year period. 12,000 residential, 700 business. But then they have to apply the data from that to all 86,000 properties. So you can't possibly, and as you look at other communities around us that have hundreds of thousands of properties, there is no community that is doing individual appraisals. They do what is technically called a mass appraisal. Every community does that. And so I've spoken to some folks who say, yeah, mine went up a bunch. I'm not happy about that, but it's still lower than probably what I would sell it for. Talked to a guy today in my office that says I wouldn't take that for it still. There are some that are the other way where they feel like it's too much. And for that, we have a robust appeal process. It was 15 days when we found out it was 15 days. We worked with the appraiser and with the county manager, and we've increased that, and you can make an appeal up until April 14th. So you're really getting about almost 45 days instead of 15. And so where the commissioners really come in is, what about the tax rate? That's where we do have a say, and that's where we will have a say. And so in late February every year, maybe earlier, mid-February, the county manager, who is statutorily tasked with the job of creating a budget, he begins that process and he begins meeting with all of the department managers. And so he's doing that now. He's still meeting with them. And we have to publish a budget. We'll probably have a good view of it in late May, but we'll need to probably vote on it at least, I don't know, there's a statute and all that. It may be beginning of June.
No later than July 1st.
No, so it's effective July 1st. So we're working that all the way up until July 1st. And so there's not a person on this board that doesn't expect that I don't want to do double negatives. I want to be clear. Everyone on this board expects a tax decrease. and a fairly significant one, okay? I said decrease. Tax rate's what we're talking about, right? Tax rate decrease, right? So we're working with the county manager on a tax rate decrease. Currently, the rate is 65.75. We don't have any idea what that'll look like. Because again, think about the book we're dealing with. It's easy to say, well, let's put this off a couple of years, right? But we had a what was the cost of living adjustment, Mr. Manager, last year?
Approximately 9.4, I believe.
9.4%. So we can put that off. Then we'll lay off 200 employees. How do we do that? So we have all of these other chapters that we have to deal with, the doubling of our gas budget, health insurance cost, the cost of personnel, the cost of equipment, and all of that. We're contractually obligated to build a school for the school system because of a lawsuit a few years ago. So we're doing that with Knox. We passed a bond referendum for Rowan Community College. And so we're obligated to do that. So the things we're obligated to do that with. So I want to talk publicly about that stuff so you see in our mind kind of both sides of it. We understand why the increase. It is as the movie goes, a perfect storm. It's a mess. And I don't know, we can't predict what the next 4 years is. I was talking with a good friend today about this. And so I said, I can't predict what happens in 4 years because I just looked at the numbers this afternoon on the way over to the office. Since this period, this 2019 to now, Rowan County has increased its population by 9,000 people, okay? So do we believe in the next 4 years, fewer people are going to be moving here than now? And we don't think so. We think more people will be moving here and they'll be buying for the same houses. Our rate of salaries is increasing, so more people will be in the market to pay higher dollars for more housing and all of that. And so what's the answer? The answer is it really is industrial and business development. I pulled this. Now, this is admittedly old, but this is from Wake County. It's called the Cost of Community Services in Wake County. And even this paper that I read, it was paid for by Wake County. But they said this mostly is true for most counties across North Carolina. And I want to help you understand why we do what we do from an economic development standpoint and why industrial and business development that we're so focused on is so important. When we talk about residential growth, the ratio for residential sector is 0.65. Now, what does that mean? It means that for every dollar in property tax and other revenues generated by residential growth, the county spends $1.54 to supply those services. So for every dollar they spend, we pay out $1.54. Now, can we tell people you're not allowed to move here? No, we can't do that. But then when you get to the commercial land use category, it stands out as the sector having the highest revenue to expenditure ratio. These results indicate that the county spends only 18 cents in services benefiting commercial and industrial establishments for every public dollar generated by these establishments. So as we are having these discussions about economic development, and it's new discussions, and so people come in, when we have these hearings, they come in every month and they say, oh, I don't want this growth. You do want this growth. You want the business and the commercial here because that is the hedge against inflation for residential taxation. If we can get the Macy's folks, they have upped their investment now to over $650 million. And it would take 23 or 2,400 homes to equal that amount. And those homes would cost us a lot more money to serve than Macy's would. Plus Macy's pours over $100 million a year in new salaries into our community. So as we're having these discussions about what do we do, it's not to say we don't want folks here. The market will determine that. What we are about doing, though, is recognizing that the industrial part, which we were really, really bad at a few years ago, recruiting industry to Rowan County, with the EDC we're working with now, they're really good at it. And that is the hope that we have of them investing big dollars here and helping shoulder a bigger portion of our tax liabilities so that we can reduce that overall, okay, for residential folks. That's only about a third of what I had to talk about, but this stuff is important. We know it's on everyone's mind. The Salisbury Post was kind enough to print all of our cell phone numbers last week. So we've been super busy, and that's okay. My card is up here. My cell phone number is on it, and you're welcome to call us. I know a lot of folks been calling, and you can keep doing that. We are working on a lower tax rate as a response to the higher taxable property, okay? So please understand that we get it. My property went up 48% at my house, 42% on my business office, so I get it. I get it. I get it. Mike, do you get it? Judy?
Yes, mine went up over 120%.
Yeah, so everyone gets it. 80%. Well, we had asked for 200 for you. And that just goes to show we have no influence because they only raised his by 80. So listen, we get it. Okay, we hear what you're saying. We've heard it. I wake up in the middle of the night screaming the word revaluation, my wife says, and then I fall back asleep. So we understand. And our direction to the manager is we're going to do everything we can do to get this as low as we can to help counteract that. Okay. All right. So those of you who came to speak, thank you. We appreciate you speaking. It's part of our process of democracy, and we love that. If this room was filled and we stayed till 1 a.m, that'd be a good thing. That's fine. We're fine with that. All right. Anyone?
I've got one thing. It's just a point that one of the speakers made, and I'm not trying to correct anybody. I just want it to be known that the county does not have responsibility for roads. That is the state of North Carolina's responsibility. Yes, in years past, we may have been responsible for some county roads, but no longer. That's either the city, the municipality that you live in, or the state of North Carolina. They're the ones that are responsible for roads.
All right, commissioners, as usual, I run my mouth and I appreciate you allowing me to do that. Y'all are welcome to stay. Love to have you. We're going to move on though. Our next item is item number 4. Consider permit to exceed noise ordinance request. Shane, welcome.
Thank you. So the property owner, Rod Weaver, has petitioned for a permit to exceed the amplified noise ordinance standards, and it's for his land here at 4860 Patterson Road. It's at the corner of Patterson and Brown. It's about 17 acres. It's in ag use. I think he has aspirations of building a horse barn and some agricultural elements there too, but they use the land for various things, and one of which they would like to include a music festival coming up for May the 6th. It's a Saturday between 1 and 9. And we get these periodically, and for a petition like this is to exceed that noise ordinance limit. So this would cover them for that duration. It's for what's called the One Love Music Festival. And according to the owner, it would be music, food, fellowship. They'd have some miscellaneous vendors out there, some informational booths about various assistance organizations, activities for kids. They do have a nonprofit that is called the Wisdom Way, Inc. mission, the Hands of Hope. Have various things where they like to do for serve the veterans. They're mission minded too, and they have a soft spot for neglected horses and things in that area. But Mr. Mike Gaston is also present along with the property owner, Mr. Weaver, for any questions the board may have. But I'm gonna real briefly touch on a couple of things here. I've got 10 criteria listed in the packet, and have a site plan here. So if you come down Brown Road, there's already an access point here, and it wraps around the north and the western side of the property, exiting down here on Patterson Road. So it has a nice little flow through that they're going to use to set up, have tickets for the entrance, receive here, have some folks to direct folks to the parking area. Again, 17 or over 17 acres, lots of room for parking here and on the roadside, but they'd come in and exit here at these locations. Stage is in the northwestern corner. Speakers will be directed this way. Porta johns, wash stations. Staff reached out to environmental health, so they've been in communication. They're following their standards. Also, any vendors with food meet their regulations too. Spoke with the sheriff's office, and specifically, they've been working with Major John Sifford, retired, but helps out with the Sheriff's Department, and they're in good standing there too. They will have some private security folks to help serve on the event. Staff sent out 19 letters and didn't get a phone call one. I think the owner also petitioned or sent an invitation out to his neighbors, inviting them to be VIPs. So, yeah. And meets all the standards that we have. And of course, they do look at this maybe as an annual event. Any questions?
If the applicant's here, would they like to speak? Anything? Yeah, come on up. Welcome. Yes, sir.
How are you? My name is Rod Weaver. I'm the proprietor of the 17 acres he was speaking about. I bought that property probably about 6 years ago from a good friend of mine.
Pull that mic up.
From a good friend of mine that lived in the area all of his life. And we spoke and talked about the property. And when I got it, I knew the property just wasn't for me. The property was for us, for people to come out and enjoy themselves. And most of all, for our veterans and the people in the community to just let me go back a little bit. I'm a humanitarian. I travel globally to help out in crisis and things like that. And so I see the need of people coming together, and I see the need of love. We've lost that. And so when I was approached about the festival, I made it clear that it had to be something to bring people together, fellowship, something to give back to our veterans, something to give back to our first responders. I know COVID was a hard time for us, and this is the reason why we came tonight, to see if we can get that noise ordinance for the festival. So that's what I'm saying.
All right, any questions for?
Haven't you been here before?
No, sir.
I've seen you somewhere.
Oh, isn't it?
He had some bigger arms there, didn't he?
The one tight
kidding.
shirt.
All right, well, we'll thank you. Stick around in case anyone has any questions. All right, at this point, we'll open the floor for any public comments there may be. Anyone from the public want to speak? All right, if not, then do we have a motion to approve PE 01-23? All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you and good luck to you. Yeah, I hope it's a good event. All right, I think Shane's back up on this next item.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So in this one, we've had, as you know, some road name changes, and this one's associated with a campground up on 601. It used to be known as Carolina Rose Campground. It's now the Cobble Hill Campground. So if the board remembers back a couple of years ago, well, we've had two changes, one of which dealt with campground standards and also with our addressing ordinance change. So this applies to two specific roads or driveways within the campground. Off the screen to the left is 601. This is Jim Neely Road that comes in, loops back around the campground. And this is Bull Hill Road. Here is a loop. But we have two roads that are unnamed. The yellow one here is proposed as Brownstone Drive, and the blue here would be Tulip Road. Both of these have over 3 sites. So per the addressing standard, it requires naming. Property owners submitted the petition. They're in favor of it. Didn't get any calls from anybody. So just a standard hearing to adopt those 2 road names.
All right. Well, we'll have a public hearing on that. We've got someone that signed up to speak, James Ham. Yeah, come on up, James. Welcome. We're glad you're here.
I'd like his help too.
What's, you would?
My property is basically on Jim Neely. Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
they're recording all this, so.
James D. Ham Jr., 155 Bull Hill Campground. Well, Bull Hill Drive, now is Jim Neely. I've been there. I escaped the Commonwealth of Massachusetts back in 2001.
Congratulations.
Yep, been down here, NASCAR, anyway, racing. And I bought my house in spite of the campground, mostly because I love camping. I managed the place for a few years when it was Bass Lake. After it was Bull Hill. My house was part of M.L. Spry's buildings as they built everything. My house is 5 acres on the top of the hill. And like I said, I share the driveway. The issue I have is Jim Neely, 185, is actually comes up and ends at the restroom / laundry room, the old store. The office is presently 150 according to the GIS. Okay, now the roads that they're talking about expanding, first and foremost, Jim Neely comes up and stops. Where basically that yellow line comes in, Jim Neely, that's the part of the loop that runs out this way. And I don't know how they're naming something Tulip. We have a old Tulip farm over on Woodleaf Road. I'm also a member of the volunteer fire department. So anytime we get a call down there, I try to get down there to identify. I'm not medical, I'm just physical or mental. But I try to get down there to identify the locations. They have renamed and renumbered all the sites, which caused a lot of confusion the last trip in there. Jim Neely, like I said, it shows anybody comes in, 185 ends up at the restroom. It doesn't hit the office, and my house is on top of the hill, it's 155. So at this point here, that loop that teardrops down, to me, it could be Tulip loop and extend it. I don't know which one they're extending for those 2 yellow lines. Oops, what I hit? I screwed up. Anyways, thank you. I'm computer challenged. But as far as going all the way around the pond and coming up the other side, is that how they're going to extend Jim Neely? Is that what the plan is?
I don't think anything's being extended.
Well, how are they going to identify all the campsites that are on the other side of the pond?
Shane, help.
Help, Mr. Wizard.
But none of this is gonna change because all that's existing, all these
Yep,
addresses.
but
This here is the only thing that would change, because once you leave this road, this is a dead end, and you access 3 units.
right.
This did pass 911's review. It's qualified where old Tulip is different than Tulip Lane.
Okay,
And kind of talked about growth. We're running out of road names. So it's hard when there's a lot of things that don't work and you have to do all the repetition of it sounds like this and that. So that did pass. This one up here, from what we're told, you can't go through the access point back down to the main entrance. So this would be one loop back.
well, your actual office is back over here. My property, if you look at my property, how it's situated, 155, my driveway comes down and drops even with the office, and I have a horseshoe shaped driveway. Okay, so I come in both sides. I come in at this campsite that's right here. Now, when you come in Jim Neely, it ends at that right there, 185. See it? That's actually the restroom / laundry room. None of this is listed unless they're gonna rename all of that.
This is listed as Jim Neely right now.
Okay,
All of it.
okay, see, I was unaware of that. I know they changed my address from Bull Hill, which if possible, I'd like to get it back if I could. And they never told me they extended the thing completely back in there. Was there any problems or? But anyways, like I said, that's my only concern. I've been living there for 22 years. And it's been a major confusion as far as people coming in and driving in my driveway looking for the campground. And I've got do not enter signs and everything else. And on the tax part of it, we can give something to volunteer fire departments. Rebate on our taxes for our property for the volunteer firefighters. I'm just throwing that out there. You know, but
That'll come out 4 years from now. Yeah. After we're go.
have to add, thank you.
Thank you. All right, anyone else want to speak? Or if not, we'll close the public hearing. And then commissioners, do we have a motion? Yes.
Tina, so I just want to make sure, because I don't think this is related. Somebody sent me a message today about
Are you on? Yeah, no, you're not on, are you?
a Rosewood Drive. That's not related
That's
and
not
all of
it.
this. That's a different name change.
Elton, you're.
Yeah, so I don't know why they sent it today, so I just want to make sure it wasn't part of the same.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make the motion to approve the name change.
All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All right, thank you. Anna, you're up.
All right. We'll start with the cumulative expenditures. Just add it up. You're currently for FY '23 up about 5% over FY '22, which is about 4.9 million. No questions, we'll move on to the cumulative revenues. And these are currently up about 21.4% or 26.3 million. And just, I've said it each time, but 19 million of this is kind of an anomaly. So 10 million was ARPA, the 8 million is the radio loan. And then we drew $1 million down from lottery this year too, so.
Right, so say that again, because we're in this situation. So it looks like we're up 26 million over 22,
Right.
but
10 million of that is the ARPA revenue replacement money. So that's one-time money. We won't get that again in the future, right? It's gone. Yep. We're gonna spend all that hopefully this year or have it appropriated to be spent. 8 million is for the loans for the public safety radios. So that's gonna be gone this year too. And then the other significant amount that I found was $1 million that we drew down for lottery for the schools. So
all
now
right.
that may repeat next year, but that's still trying to explain what that 26 million up, that's
Yeah,
19 million.
But that $1 million is applied to debt service.
It
not?
is correct.
Okay.
Yes. But that's, we didn't have that much last year in that particular item.
Cause more debt in the future.
Yeah, they did. Yeah. We just have it all right now. Yeah, we're gonna have to make those debt payments going forward. Yep.
All right, next.
The next is the cumulative property tax, which is up about 5% or 4.1 million, and that's a January figure. Then the cumulative sales tax is next. And it's up 13.5% or $2 million, and that's as of November. Next one is the monthly sales tax. And last month we were kind of flat from the previous year, but November went back up. So I'm really not sure what's going on there yet. All indications would be that we should see it trending down, but I guess we've got to get through that Christmas holiday before we're going to see that. So it was up about 15.5% or 471,000.
Okay.
Questions on those?
Any questions for Anna?
It today, but I would like to see 708, we had a big drop in
Those two?
I just kinda- Yeah, just if you just sent it to us, we can look.
Yeah, we've been thinking it's going down and we've been wrong, but I tell you, if you're not watching the news at night and seeing where we're heading economically, we've done it to ourselves, mostly. I'm convinced we're heading for trouble. All right. Anything else? What?
All that money that was spent.
Oh, in Washington?
Yeah.
None.
Assume that's what you're talking about.
Yeah. All right, motion to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.